Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Patriots Whistle on this special episode of Behind the Iron Curtain with Hall and Hunt. And for those wondering what the heck that is mine and Andrea's new show. Say hi, Andrea.
Hi.
She came up with the title, so if you don't like it, blame her. Right? Send inbox, with your thoughts. If you do like it, I take all the credit.
Of course.
Welcome, everybody. Blowing the whistle on the far left. Communist takeover, the Patriots Whistle. What's up, Andrea?
I am well. How are you?
I'm okay. It's been a crazy week. If you didn't know, I was downtown for that whole debacle.
Oh, for the shooting?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. I am so sorry. So sorry.
Yeah, it was the first time I've decided to do something like that. And of course, my luck, the first time I get out there and show my face, someone gets freaking shot. So
That is so scary.
yeah, and then I wore my MAGA hat out in public Tuesday, and some dude decided to just be a punk and harass me.
Wow.
So it's been a discouraging week, I gotta tell you.
Well, hopefully we can uplift some people with our
Yes.
discussion tonight.
Yes. Yes.
Give some people some hope.
Well, if I'm negative, Nancy, just apologizing in advance, all right? Bear with me here. But we wanted to do a special episode this week, guys, and go over the Colorado state ballot information booklet. And I know a lot of people are getting their ballots already,
Yes.
so we may be a little late for some people.
I just saw that already 300,000 votes in Colorado have been cast.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, so to those 300,000, we apologize. It's not like you watch the show anyways. But we did want to get to at least to our viewers and maybe if not give you an opinion on certain things, at least kind of explain some certain things, and that's if we can. Me and Andrea were talking before the cameras lit up, and I was just confused. I was like, huh? I thought I knew what he was talking about, but now I'm confused. Of course, I don't know if you've seen this, but the dirty old dams.
No.
They sent out their "This is how to vote" packet, and
No.
they tell you what vote yes or no, and I was just like, oh.
Maybe that's something that's down in your county or not up in Weld County.
Really?
Yeah, because I haven't received it unless it could still be coming in the mail. The only thing I've received is the booklet we're going to talk about tonight.
Okay.
Yeah.
So before we delve into the Colorado state ballot, what have you been noticing since you've last been in the studio, or what's fired you up since we've talked?
Well, I think there's been a lot of things, especially this week with the notification of the Biden emails that have come out.
Yep.
You briefly mentioned before we went live some Benghazi stuff that's come out. Obviously, we've had to deal with Trump getting the virus and then people, blaming him and if he had only done such and such. However, I honestly think that at some point in time, most everyone is going to catch it. I don't think that people are going to be forever immune. And I don't care how long you hole up in your house.
Right.
At some point, you're going to have to come out and start getting back to the real world.
Yeah.
And you're going to catch it in some form. And people are freaking out about the numbers. However, what you have to realize is that more and more people are getting tested.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing. The second thing is, are more people dying? And are the stats on the death real?
Yeah.
Like, are they dying as a result of COVID?
Yeah.
Or are they dying as a result of something else? I just saw that there are people in the Denver area that are dying of heart attacks, other locations where people are dying of cancer because they're more afraid to catch COVID
Right.
than they are that they're having a heart attack. I'm like, when did people's common sense go out the door that we are now running amok and so fearful of something that we've been told potentially you can fix with vitamin C and vitamin D and other things that are already on the market, yet let's stay at home. And I think I'm having a heart attack, but I'm not going to leave because I'm more afraid that if I go to the hospital, I'm going to get COVID.
Right. Well, and shout out to the miracle drug Regeneron, which our boy Trump says did wonders for him.
Well, I mean, look at him.
yeah.
He looks
Yeah.
so alive, and partly probably because he got some rest. But
That
I
dude
mean,
is always working.
he
So,
hit the trail within,
Yeah.
10 days and just looked vibrant and alive and
And
looked
I-
on fire.
and I did post something on our page. I was like, of the 200,000+ deaths, how many of those are from COVID versus with COVID? And a lot of our viewers actually responded and sent some CDC links. And the CDC link they sent, it was a few months old, but at that point it was only about 6%. 6% of the deaths were actually from COVID. And the other were, it was a byproduct or another additional symptom, like dying with COVID.
Right.
And I had David DeMont here. He's a Westminster City Councilor just a couple days ago. And he knew someone he actually knew someone who lost a loved one from a motorcycle accident. And they literally put on the death certificate COVID-19. And so it's super shady, but you hit it
But
on the
there's
head.
money.
There we go. Incentive.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
Is that the hospitals will get extra money as a result
Right.
of labeling a death as COVID.
Yes.
Yep.
And once they incentivized this thing, it was over.
Absolutely.
It was over. Hey, to our viewers, we love you guys. Say hi. We're open to some Q&A, so don't be shy. But it's hard to talk about it because they're censoring it. Anything that's, pro HCQ or pro Regeneron or that's positive towards the COVID narrative, they're shutting down. This page, my other page, Colorado Christian Conservative, both have been flagged multiple times for sharing, factual articles where doctors are saying, yeah, HCQ is working. Hydroxychloroquine plus Z-Pak is working. We're noticing 100% of our patients are beating this when we give them this. And it's flagged. False information.
It's because it goes against the thought process of the left, right?
Yep.
They want people to still be scared.
Yeah.
They want people to be holed up. They don't want the economy to recover. And so because of that, then it's bad.
Yes.
There are plenty of scientists. The Democrats all want to say, follow the science, follow the science.
Yeah.
Well, they only follow the science if it agrees with their thought process.
Exactly.
There are plenty of scientists who have said, and now the WHO has stepped out and said, I think we were wrong. Closing down the economy wasn't the appropriate thing.
Right.
So again, it's very difficult who you believe because obviously I know from being a criminal defense attorney that you can find pretty much any expert to say what you want.
Yep.
Depends on how big the paycheck is, right?
You can buy a scientist just like you can buy a senator.
Right. And yet you have these people that are willing to risk their medical license and things of that nature because they are being called out and threatened and they have a lot to lose.
Yeah.
So if they have a lot to lose and they're still going against the grain and saying, no, don't wear a mask, it's not protecting you,
Right.
there's possible repercussions from wearing a mask, it's not healthy to stay in your house, all of that stuff,
Yep.
but yet it's not believable.
And then another article I read was 7.9% of people that are diagnosed with COVID wear a mask versus 3.6% who are diagnosed with COVID didn't wear a mask. And so the numbers aren't even there to support the mask narrative. Like, it's just, the whole narrative is just crumbling beneath their hands, and yet they're censoring people like me, like you, who are sharing these truths because it doesn't fit that narrative. But I want to go back to the word you used earlier, and it was fear. You said people don't even use common sense anymore because they're so afraid and fear. And that's truly what this boils down to for me, is it's a way to control the populace, right? If you have something to hold over them, some type of fear, they have power. They have the power to, do crazy mandates, establish crazy laws, shut down your business, all in the name of fear. And a majority of people, they don't know any better, right? They've been taught to trust in the science, in the CDC, in the health department. They have been taught to blindly trust these systems, never to question them. Whereas critical thinkers like you and myself are like, whoa, 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 whoa. I get it. The guy went to college for 12 years. He wears a white coat. But hold on here. My common sense, my red flag's just going off. The radar's going off. But they just blindly follow him, and it breaks my heart. And then me and you are called lunatics, conspiracy theorists, anti-science. It's like, no. Listen, we believe in science.
Yeah.
We just see something else here, and you can't see it because they're suppressing it.
Well, and people say to me all the time, you don't think the virus is real? I absolutely 100% think the virus is real.
Yes.
That's not a question in my mind. The problem is that I don't believe we should sit in our house.
Yeah.
I have heard from I shouldn't say so many people, but enough of people that have actually been in their house since March.
Yeah.
And not gone out.
Yeah.
I'm like, what?
Yes.
You've not left your house since March? I am not even able to wrap my head around that, because even like a couple weeks of not leaving my house, I was already going out of my mind.
Yeah.
People need social interaction.
Yep.
I mean, the fact that we have people killing themselves and overdosing on drugs, does that not account for anything? We're killing the healthy people to supposedly save the sick.
Yeah.
I'm just like, what are people thinking? Somebody please enlighten me.
And listen, I'm going to get heckled for it, and that's fine. I'll take the arrows. But it's called propaganda.
Yeah.
It's called propaganda. Nazis did it, where they took over what you were listening to. And they literally controlled everything that went into your brain, right? From music to radio. And if they can say the lie enough times, people will believe it.
Well, if you watched, I think it was on Netflix, The Social Dilemma.
Yeah.
I mean, you can see how our lives have shifted and changed since people have started with Facebook, right?
Yep.
I mean, my husband's a prime example.
Yeah.
Like, he is so addicted to Facebook, like his hand's permanently in this position from holding his phone, the only time he's not on Facebook is
And he's not a millennial?
No. What's the age group?
I think 86, 84.
He was born in 83, so
he just missed the cutoff.
Pretty close.
Yeah.
But, like the only time he's not on Facebook and he's sleeping.
Yeah.
And they feed us. I mean, and we're now seeing it huge, right? Like the blocking, the censorship.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you can say something and next thing you know, it's on your news feed. You're getting an advertisement for it. It's like, I'm pretty sure I didn't Google that.
Right.
Who's hearing me? And how come now it's all over my Facebook feed?
Right.
And they control what comes up in our feed.
Yeah.
And how much we see or don't see. And the negativity to feed us, right?
Yep.
So, we've been being controlled since, when was that experiment? When the TVs came out in like 1960, the CIA or the FBI started with that. So,
Project Mockingbird, where they put their people in so that they can get, so that they can put their narrative forth, and so that when a law was established, we wouldn't question it. The soil was already laid.
Yep.
So, we got to wake up, and that's what we're doing here. But it leads me to my next topic, before we get into the Colorado state ballot, is the censorship, the burning of books. I swear, Andrea, it's like I'm watching history repeat itself, where you had as we speak right now, our broadcast is being interrupted. So it's like history repeating itself. It's absolutely crazy. We're going to continue the broadcast though. So censorship, tech censorship. Have you seen what's been going on recently?
Yeah, you're referring to
The Hunter Biden emails. You
Yeah.
mentioned it earlier. Yeah.
Yeah. They're wanting to block that.
Yep.
Clearly, the president's press secretary's tweets yesterday were blocked.
Yep.
And, you mentioned the Benghazi thing that
Yes.
apparently that's
Yes.
been taken down from YouTube and you've been
Yes.
flagged on Facebook. So, it's my understanding that, the Senate is supposedly sending out subpoenas to Mark,
Yep. I did see that.
owner of Facebook, and to Twitter, to have them come and answer some questions
Yeah.
about this censorship and what's going on. And clearly, they have us all, right?
Yep.
If people decided to leave Facebook and go somewhere else that allowed conservatives or right-wing people to make comments and not be censored, but these are definitely left liberals that want to control what is being seen and being heard.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't agree with their agenda, it's always false.
Right. Right.
But nothing they ever post about Trump gets flagged
no.
as false.
Oh, no.
Ever. I've never seen anything that is
No.
about Trump ever get flagged as false.
I read an article that he was sleeping with Russian hookers in 2017. For goodness sake. And it was completely crap. I mean, the other part that really just boiled my blood was when his taxes were released, which was illegal. Whoever submitted those to the New York Post did so illegally. They didn't have a problem with that. They didn't have a problem allowing, but now they're saying, well, because there was phone numbers and addresses in this leak, that's the big difference. So we're going to take this one down.
But how many times have they had stuff that was from anonymous sources? The prime example is when supposedly President Trump said that he hated veterans.
Yeah.
Right? And that he made some comment when he was supposed to be somewhere and then he couldn't be there because it was raining and the Secret Service said there wasn't going to be enough time, but then they said, oh no, it was because he was afraid to get his hair wet. And there was numerous people that came forth and said, that is not what happened, that is not what he said,
Right.
but they let that run.
Yeah.
Nobody stopped that.
Yeah. Yep. And I wrote an article on this on our website, www.gwpro.com, shameless plug. And it's about AI being activated against conservatives. And if you look at that article, I discuss where the money's going. And if you look at the ABC company that's controls, Google, Facebook, and Twitter, they have donated millions and millions of dollars to the Democratic National Committee, the DNC, to the Hillary campaign. So it doesn't surprise me, but just how blatant they are about it now, and just they don't care. They don't even care to shadow ban anymore. We got a comment on here that says the live is glitching because you are talking about censoring. They will start shadow banning you as well. And that's exactly what it is. It's shadow banning, where they used to do it in secret. They would write these algorithms, and if you said certain words, you would be censored. I talked to a lot of people that were like, I'm not getting your stuff on my feed. I liked your page, I followed it, and then I even went as far as doing, how you have the option to go see first.
Yep.
I had people tell me this. I've done all these 3 things and I'm still not seeing your content. That is shadow banning, where they do it without you knowing. Well, what's new now is we're going to just ban you, period. Forget doing it in the shadows. False, fake. Our fact checkers, our Soros-funded fact checkers, which
Yes.
I've shared the stuff on our page. Go look for it. I'm not making this stuff up. It's proven that they're funded by these Soros-backed nonprofits. So they're not even doing it in the shadows anymore. They're just coming out and just flat out doing it. So this is election interference, in my opinion. Would you agree?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
you know, when people get mad at Trump and say, you know, he's not going to, you know, pass peacefully if he doesn't win,
Right.
he's going to contest the election, and it's like, I don't blame him. We knew 4 years ago, or we suspected 4 years ago, that there was going to be a problem.
Yeah.
And clearly, there's evidence now to show that Hillary set it up to make it look like the Russians were colluding with Trump, and they didn't win, but they tried their damnedest to not allow him to win.
Right.
And then make it look like he did something inappropriate when he won.
Yeah. Yeah.
So why would he think that this was going to be fair this time? I mean, if he wins, and I'm praying he does, by the grace of God,
Yeah.
it's not because it hasn't been an uphill battle.
Right. Well, they say when I watch the administration, they seem to be aware of all this stuff, and they seem to know this stuff is happening. And you said it yourself. Ted Cruz just put out something that they're actually bringing him to court. So I genuinely have confidence in this administration that they're aware of it and they're doing something about it. But man, I pray for this administration, because it would seem that they have one battle after another. If it's not, you know, some leak in the FBI, it's the media. If it's not the media, it's conservatives being censored. Even his press secretary. So I have confidence. I have hope. That's really what it really is. Forget confidence. I have hope.
Yeah.
I have hope that the good guys are going to win. But the Dems are cheating, and they're cheating in multiple forms. They're cheating when it comes to censorship. I do believe they're cheating when it comes to these mail-in ballots. And have you seen any of that that's going on?
Well, I just saw the other day that even in Grand Junction, some ballots were, you know, found on the side of the road.
Yep.
But it was pointed out to me today when I was at my accountant's office. He was like, you realize that they work for the government. Most of those people that work in the postal office are Democrats.
Right.
And so they don't want him to win. So
Right.
they're going to take the chance
Right.
and dump ballots, because what do they have to lose? Even if it is potentially some Democrat votes, there's a good likelihood that, you know, they may be Trump votes.
Right.
And not that I've ever actually put my ballot in the mail. However, I said to my accountant today, I'm a little nervous because this is the first time I've never that I haven't got my ballot yet, which I haven't. My husband got his, but I didn't. And I was like, well, that's a little weird. And I said, I'm a little nervous. I said, I've lived in Colorado 16 years, always have voted by mail, never questioned it. And now I'm like, I just don't think I'm going to.
Yeah.
I honestly am I think actually going to go vote in person this time.
Right.
Just
And I
for
hear
fear of that.
Putting it in the box at the city building is legit.
And that's usually what I've done. I've always just put it in the box directly at the city.
Yeah.
However, even that, I'm like, ugh.
Yeah. I know.
But now I saw on Facebook that people are marking the ballots, which will then make them invalid in and of itself. They're putting letters on them or stars or something, which then I am assuming when they're being read through the feeder will trip it and say reject. And I'm like,
and I believe
are you serious? Like, come on, is there like anything that we don't have to scrutinize in this world? Like,
well,
I just want to get out of bed one day and go, ah.
No, and Alicia, she's watching live now. She says draining the swamp is definitely coming against the enemy, and he will not go down without a fight. And I believe she's absolutely right. Because that was his promise to us, right?
Yes.
He's going to come in here and he's going to drain the swamp. We just didn't know how deep the swamp was. And apparently it goes all the way to academia, science, mail. I mean, it's just deep.
Yes.
But I do believe that's what we're seeing. And so the next time someone tells you 2020 is the absolute worst year, what's next? An earthquake? Tell them, no, this is a beautiful thing we're seeing. We are seeing a deep state shadow government losing its power and kicking and screaming on the way out. I believe that.
This is worse than a 2-year-old having a temper tantrum
I
right
know.
now. Like, really. I would praise to have a 2-year-old have a temper tantrum
Yeah.
over what we are seeing at this point in time, because the Democrats are losing their shit.
Right.
I mean, beyond.
Well, I mean, it's better than boots on the ground, right? It's better than guns being fired. This covert war that we're seeing, which I do believe. I know you guys think I'm crazy, but I do believe this is what has been going on underneath our noses in the last 3 years, is a covert war where CIA, FBI, whistleblowers, Ukrainian governments, just all in an attempt to avoid a civil war. And I'm hoping and I'm praying we can avoid a civil war, because that'd be ugly. So
I honestly think it
yeah.
goes farther back.
Yeah.
I mean, the first time I voted was I was a freshman in college that year, and it was the Bush-Clinton, administration.
Yeah.
And then shortly after that, I worked out in Washington when Clintons were in office. And I believe since then, and it could have happened before that, but I don't really believe that we had that much collusion and behind the scenes
Yeah.
stuff going on.
Yeah.
But I think it really started with the Clinton administration, the shadiness
Yeah.
that was going on in our government. And don't get me wrong, I honestly think that it's on both parties. It's not just Democrats when it comes
Yeah.
to shadiness
I
and
agree.
things of that nature.
Yeah.
Because when a senator goes in and they've left a job where they're making $90,000, $150,000 a year, maybe $250 at the very most,
Yeah.
and then they go and work at the Senate, they now got on the gravy train and they're millionaires before you know it.
Yes.
This is the
Yes.
first time in our history where we've had somebody that was a millionaire that gave all that up
Thank you.
to come and work
you.
for peanuts.
Thank you.
And he has no dog in the fight, right?
Yeah.
Like, he's not looking for a book deal. He's not schmoozing with the lobbyists because they're going to give him something afterwards. When he's done, he is going to go back to building buildings in New York and
Yep.
wherever else and go back to that lifestyle and
Right.
do what he did before. He was writing books. He had TV shows,
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
of that stuff that he didn't need to gain
Right.
by getting into politics.
Right.
Unlike Senator Biden and Vice President Biden, I should say, and Senator
Obama,
Harris,
and Harris, and
yeah,
Pelosi.
all of them.
Look at all their net worth
And
prior
even the
to
Bushes.
politics.
I mean,
and
what
after.
did they gain?
Yeah.
I mean, they gained a lot by being
Yes.
in office.
Well,
One
and
of
that's-
the reasons why he followed in his
Yeah.
father's footsteps.
Yes. And that's where I was going to go with that.
And Jeb even wanted to be another. And
Jeb-
I was like, I'm done with Bushes. I'm done with Clintons.
Jeb was the
You
next
know,
guy.
like, let's go. We
Here
need
comes
some
Chelsea.
fresh meats. We
Here
need some
comes
fresh
Chelsea.
meats.
But I will say this. I believe because every administration has been a part of this problem prior. I don't think Reagan was. I don't think.
Right.
I don't know. I think there were certain presidents that weren't. But I think after Reagan up into Trump, it was all the same pay to play schemes.
Yes.
So
And I think even with Senior Bush, maybe not as much.
Yeah.
But I definitely think it probably even started then.
oh, look at the bloodlines, look at the blood ties. It goes deep. If you're
Yes.
willing to look down that rabbit hole, which I have dabbled, it goes deep. They're all connected. They're all sleeping in the same bed. It's disgusting. And so this outsider comes in with his own money and just punches them all in the face, and people don't get it. People don't understand what is being done right now, what's been done in the last 3.5 years, 4 years. They don't get it. They don't get that this outsider came in and destroyed the cabal. Call them the Illuminati, call them the bloodlines, whatever you want to call them. That doesn't matter. The fact is that they ruled. They were a ruling class.
Yes.
And they were selling America, and they were chipping away at our Constitution. Because remember, the Constitution's unlike any other document in the world. Show me another country that has a Second Amendment. Show it to me. I dare you to. Challenge for our viewers. Show me another country that has a Second Amendment. And so they were trying to destroy this beautiful nation, and thank God for this man who stepped in and was just like a fighter. You know, so that's what I see. They see a belligerent, Twitter happy narcissist. I don't see that. I see a warrior champion who came in the right place in the right time and said, no, you cannot have this country. So,
Well, and don't get me wrong. There's plenty of stuff that he said that I go, gulp. He tweeted that. But again,
I love it.
no one's perfect for one.
Yeah.
And for two, I wouldn't want anybody to necessarily go digging through my past graveyard and pulling stuff out. You know, the nights I've been drunk with my girlfriends that we've said crazy things to the bartender or the wait staff guy, you know, or whatever we've said, you know, on a girls' night out. Because girls can be, as far as I'm concerned, just as nasty, if not worse, than men when they're out, you know. If you
At least you're willing to admit it.
If you see women at Chippendales, you know, they're lunatics.
Yeah.
What men go to strip clubs and act like that? For the most part, they're having a cocktail. They're getting some tatas in their face. You know, girls are dancing and they're minding their business, right? Girls go to see the Chippendales and they're lunatics. I'm like, oh my God. So,
and thank you for admitting that, Andrea. You're one of the few. I appreciate that.
But, you know, I've said to my mom numerous times, I mean, there is stuff that I wouldn't want my mom or my priest or whoever to know, right? That I've said. And thank God no one's recorded me. Thank God I didn't have, you know, a cell phone when I was 15, 16-year-olds like the kids are now and Snapchatting and stuff like that. Because I'm like, you realize that's there forever. Quit Snapchatting. That doesn't go away like you think it does in 2 seconds on Snapchat. But, you know, I mean, we've all done stuff that we're not necessarily proud of. And, okay, so he had an affair when he was married. How does that dictate what he's going to do for the country? And you know what? He didn't have oral sex with an intern in the White House. And that man was praised. His wife stood by her man.
Disgusting.
Right.
The double standard is beyond grotesque at this point, where these are the rules for us, these are the rules for you.
Right.
And it's frustrating. So, is there anything else that because we could do this?
We should probably move on to what we were really going to talk about.
We're a half hour in and we're just getting started.
Which is the ballots.
Me and Andrea, we can go. That's why I love bringing Andrea on, because we just bash. So let's get into the Colorado 2020 ballot. And let's start with the Amendment B, repeal the Gallagher Amendment. And as soon as I read it repeals sections of the Colorado Constitution, that's all I needed to read. For me, it was a big no.
Yeah, I'm really torn because I am not a fan of changing anything with the Constitution. It was written. If they want to make a statute, but to amend the Constitution, I am really struggling with. So I kind of left this as a question mark. I need to go back and do some further research on whether I'm going to vote yes or no on this. But yes, the same thing for me stuck out was amending the Constitution. That's a no.
That's all I see, and I say no. So Amendment C, the conduct of charitable gaming.
Oh God,
I don't care. For real, I'm just like, whatever. Why are we even doing this?
Yeah, first of all, I don't even know why charitable gaming is in the Constitution. To me, it should be in the statute. I was shocked when you had to be a nonprofit for 5 years before you could apply for a bingo license. I'm like, are you for real? 5 years? What the hell difference does it make? But they're wanting to change it to 3. And some other things. I'm like, who cares? If they want to raise money, let them raise money however they want to raise money. Why do we care if they've been in a nonprofit for 1 year, 5 years, or 3 years? This is
that's
dumb.
What got me always so sketchy about these things, because, like, what's the real reason, right?
Yeah.
They give you this little mirage. This is what it's doing, but then you know there's like some strings behind it that are going to domino affect 3 other things.
Right.
I hate this. I just hate it. Amendment 76, me and you talked about that before the cameras went live. Again, amending the Constitution.
Yes.
To me, I was like, no.
So I struggled with this, and we talked about this before we went live. And I went back on page 63 of the booklet to look at what the text currently was in the Constitution here.
Yeah.
And what they're wanting to change is every citizen to only a citizen.
Right.
And I'm like,
What does
could
this
someone
mean?
dumb this down for me? Like, I'm
What
a
does this mean?
lawyer, and I still am looking at this going,
Yeah.
how is changing every citizen to only a citizen
Yeah.
going to keep? Because if you vote yes, it says you are then ultimately creating basically the ability for them not to allow illegal immigrants to vote.
Right.
And I looked at this again and I'm like, I don't see anything in the language that would preclude that by changing every to only.
Right.
It doesn't make sense. So I have to do some further research on that language as well to
Yeah.
see if, but again, I too was like, changing the Constitution? No.
77, local voter approval of casino bet limits and games in Blackhawk, Central City, Cripple Creek. I don't
Gamble away, boys.
don't
Gamble
care.
away if you
Yeah.
want to.
care. Yeah.
I don't know why we're sticking our nose.
Go
To me,
ahead.
this, if anything, this should be on a local ballot for the people that live in the county
Right.
and city of Blackhawk. If they don't want to, but then again, you have the people, oh my God, gambling's bad. It's like sex,
Right.
addiction, alcohol. It's all bad.
Well, which, listen, that's a whole show in itself. Because I know some people who've lost their mortgages.
From sex addiction or gambling or what?
Two separate things. Proposition EE, taxes on nicotine. I said no.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, man, leave my smokers alone. If they want to, what they do with their temple, that's between them and God.
Do you know
Why
how
do you gotta
expensive
tax
it
them?
is for cigarettes these days? It's ridiculous. I remember going to the vending machines at the hotels and putting in a $1.50 of quarters and getting to do this, and the
Right.
cigarettes fell out like a pop, right? Now they're like $7.
Well, and then the
For a
shadiest
pack.
part is always, we're going to do good things with
Oh.
these tax dollars. And then they never do good things with the tax dollars. You're like, where do the tax dollars go?
Yeah, it says in here that the money that they will take with the increase for the tax will go to public schools to help offset revenue that has been lost as a result of the economic impact related to COVID.
Then
Are you
open
for
this
real?
bitch up, damn it! Oh,
Seriously, like,
our
this was
governor-
put on the ballot because of COVID,
Commie
and
douche, yeah.
it's a lie.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a sham as far as I'm concerned, because we have weed that
Yeah.
has been legal in Colorado for how many years, and all of the tax revenue from that was supposed to go to schools.
Right, right.
I don't see our schools getting any better as a result of all the weed that is sold in this state.
Yeah, and if you want...
Millions of dollars of weed, by the way.
If you want to recoup from COVID, then stop being a commie governor and open up this damn state. All right. Proposition 113.
Oh, this is a hell no for sure.
Yeah, I put a big no. No popular vote. And to the voters who are to the listeners who are wondering what this is, basically they want to, if the majority of Coloradans vote for Trump in 2020, right, and let's say this is passed, what they're going to do is they're going to say, we don't care what the majority of the Colorado voters want. We're going to vote with California, New York.
With the popular vote
With-
over the United
Yes,
States.
with the
So they're
majority.
basically getting rid of the Electoral College. So our vote in Colorado will mean nothing because
Exactly.
we're a very small state when you
Yep.
look at California
Yes.
and Texas and New York. I mean, that's where the population is, right?
Right,
That's who's
right.
going to control who wins the presidency if we get rid of this.
And you know
No,
what happens?
No.
You become a mob rule country.
Mm-hmm.
You're no longer a republic.
Nope.
You're now a true democracy where the mob rules, majority rules. All right, so no on 113. Me and Andrea agree there. 114, the wolves reintroduction and management of gray wolves. That was a big no for me because if you study this, it's not actual. From my wife, what my wife was telling me, it's not actual wolves that are common to Colorado. They're like an exported wolf. And to me, that's how horror movies start. We introduced this exotic wolf, and now all the cows are dead, and mad cow disease. Who knows, right? So for me, it's like, no, it's not common here. But you were saying that they actually some
Well,
in here or something like that?
if you read farther in the back of the book where
Yeah.
it talks about these and it does the analysis out, it says that there has been some that have been spotted. So my thought process is, okay, let's keep them endangered
Yeah.
and allow what's here. If they procreate and create more, great, and if not, but there's no reason to put something in our environment that isn't here naturally. And their reason is
Yeah.
because it will help control the deer and the elk population. Okay, well, if we have a deer and an elk population, then release more license for people to shoot.
Thank you. Leave that to the
I
hunters.
mean, don't
Don't introduce any gray wolves.
Yeah.
Are y'all trying to start a damn movie here? A horror movie? All right. 115, the prohibit abortion after 22 weeks.
Yeah, this is a no.
As
for
someone,
Carmina, yes.
As a Christian who is anti-abortion through and through, that's a yes for me. Obviously, I don't know where you stand on that.
Yeah, it's a yes for me too.
Yeah,
I just, there's so many options.
Yes.
Especially with the morning after pill, all of that, and I guess I struggle because that poor child has no voice of its own.
Right.
And if Christopher Watts can be charged with killing his wife who was pregnant at 15 or 20 weeks with that unborn child, how is it okay that a woman is able to do that and
Right.
not be criminally charged?
And it
Yeah.
says right in the text, except when an abortion is immediately required to save the life of a pregnant woman. And some of the commercials I've seen for this, against this, they actually leave that part out and they make it seem like even in the case of, and they create this, this horrifying picture of a woman dying instead of. But for me, my mom says she was raped, and she was 12 when she was impregnated by me. She was 13 when she had me, so there's no reason for me not to believe her. I've never confronted my dad about it. I don't really want to. It's just uncomfortable. But I put myself in those shoes. I mean, I thank God my mom gave me life. A 12-year-old who was raped, and I'm here because of it. I have 4 beautiful children. So give them a chance, guys. So that's a big. I'm going.
What's a yeser?
Yes for 115. 116 state income tax rate reduction. Before I tell you what I had, what did you have?
I was pretty excited about a reduction.
Okay,
However, I was like, okay, I better do some more research because
Yeah.
is this gonna be a backlash
Yes,
somewhere?
right.
So I still have a question mark. However, my
Yeah.
first was yes, reduce taxes. I'm all about that.
Well, and then let me see what my
Democrats
my
said.
commie suggestion here says on, what is it, 116, and if it says, yeah, we say no. The Dems say no, so that's got to be good, right? If the Democrats are saying no, for me, I'm doing a yes on 116. But I do think you're right. We got to do a little more research because what's the pay? What's the game there?
Yeah.
And then the other commercial I seen on against it was it gives corporations big tax breaks. Well, freaking good, man. Corporations employ us. I work for a corporation. I don't know if you work for a corporation, but
Nope.
they create hundreds and thousands of jobs in Colorado. Give them a damn tax break. I'm that guy. So
Yeah.
I don't know where you stand there. Now, monopoly capitalism, crony capitalism, I'm against, but giving corporations tax breaks so that they create jobs and bring money to the Colorado economy, to me, I'm all for it. So 117, voter approval for certain new state enterprises.
Yeah, and I wasn't sure on this. I did some more, or I read the analysis in the back of this, because this is things like, oh my gosh, I'm drawing a total blank what this is about.
Article Section 20 of the Colorado Constitution, if the projected or actual combined revenue from fees and surcharges of the enterprise and all other enterprises create within the last 5 years that serve primarily the same purpose are greater than 100 million within the first 5 fiscal years.
So it's like Parks and Wildlife, it's like the Colorado Lottery, unemployment insurance, colleges, things, correctional industries, things like that. So it's big industries But I wasn't sure is there a lot of those industries that are attempting to be enterprises in Colorado? I was like, what's the big deal? Why are we...
But it basically gives us a say, though. It has to have statewide voter approval.
Right. But I don't know why there's a problem. Is there a bunch of people that are wanting to create an enterprise? Because it appears from the table on page 51 that there is not a lot of enterprises.
Right. To me, it's accountability. It's voter accountability, where we're able to say, no, we don't want it. Yes, we do. That's how I read it.
So, yeah, I'm still up in the air about that. I don't have a yes or a no on that yet.
So I put yes, but again, like Andrea says, I gotta go do some homework. But that's how I understood it, is anything over 100 million, we have to give them voter approval, statewide voter approval. So, I don't know.
Yeah.
If I find some more information, though, I'll go ahead and post it on our page. Let's continue. We're almost there.
Yes.
118. That was a big, I don't know, for me, because last thing I want to do is kill family-owned businesses, right? Because I think of the business owner wanting to be a business owner, even though I'm not yet. I think of them when I vote. I'm like, how will this affect the Ma and Pa restaurant around the corner that I love to eat at? Not the big corporations. Big corporations, maybe not so much. But it's those guys I kind of think of when I read stuff like this. Where did you land on 118?
So I said no. And
Yeah.
the reason I said no to the paid family and medical leave is because I have been raised in a family-owned business. Both my parents were business owners. I'm a business owner myself.
Yeah.
And I have always been of the mindset that you eat what you kill. I've never been employed by anybody other than when I was like in college, right? So no one's ever paid my health insurance.
Right.
No one's ever given me paid time off for sick leave, vacation pay. No one pays my 401k. I've done all of that myself.
Yeah.
And I look at this and I go, why is it once again an employer's job to take care of somebody? We've turned into a society that is so demanding and entitled and dependent on people. Now, don't get me wrong. I get that there are plenty of people that aren't able to necessarily save for a rainy day. They're living paycheck to paycheck.
Right.
However, I've been in those positions before. I, had a brain tumor and couldn't work for a year after brain surgery.
Yeah.
No one paid my bills.
Yeah.
I didn't get food stamps. I mean, I broke my pelvis, was in a wheelchair for 6 months.
Yeah.
I didn't have anybody that paid my bills then. They kicked me out of the hospital and said, go home. I said, how? I live in a 2-story building. Where am I supposed to go? I'm in a wheelchair, all of that stuff. So I think, oh my gosh, why do we always look to somebody else? Yeah. And this is another situation where somebody who is a small employer, right? Yeah. Maybe 5, 10, 15, 20 employees.
Yes.
Where are they now going to come up with the money for this?
That's what really struck me, is how is my job, my company, because I'm on the other spectrum. I'm on the other side of the spectrum than Andrea. But I think of my company. Okay, where am I going to have to pay for this? Because they're going to have to make up somewhere for this.
Yeah.
And so now maybe I'm paying more in insurance premiums. Who knows? So for me, I don't know. It was kind of a no. I was leaning more towards no. So.
Yeah, and like I said, I think when you work for, a multi-million-dollar company that has hundreds and hundreds of employees, maybe that is okay.
Right.
However, these people that are struggling or, have to have 50 or less employees, I don't know where they're going to be able to come up with the money for that. A lot of times they're struggling to make payroll.
That's who it's going to kill.
Yeah.
It's going to kill the local mom and pops. So.
And we're already having people lose business as a result of COVID.
Yep.
But now we're going to implement paid family and medical leave?
Right.
No, I'm a no. I'm a hard no.
I'm with you. I'm with it. There you guys have it. That's the, is that,
Yep.
Did I miss anything?
Yep. No, because this is processing analysis part. Yeah.
And before we wrap this bad boy up, I do want to give a quick opportunity to one of our sponsors, Serenity Painting. I'm going to go ahead and play their commercial real quick. We have a sponsor, Andrea.
Yay!
I know. I was stoked. So,
yay!
So shout out to Serenity. Thank you guys for the new camera. Let's see. Yeah, your camera. Yeah, that's the new camera from Serenity. And so let's go ahead and give them a plug.
Serenity Painting and Decorating can offer you a complete package of home and business remodeling services, including residential, commercial, exterior and interior, paint, stain, drywall, stucco repair, carpentry, and window cleaning. We look forward to working for you.
All right. Again, thanks, Serenity Painting. We love you guys. Andrea, what do we have now? I mean, are we pretty much done? I wore myself out beating up libs. I'm ready for a nap.
A cocktail.
Well, thank you, as always, for
Yes.
coming by and joining the studio. I love just your colorfulness, your boldness. And for those of you who don't know, she is a loud voice in her community for Trump 2020. Big conservative voice, does some speaking engagements, and she's also a lawyer.
Yeah.
So I was like, hey, you want to start a show together? And she did not decline. But anything you want to say to the people before we sign out?
Make sure you get out and vote. If you have any questions, this booklet we got in the mail explains things, gives you an opportunity to analyze it, look at the text that is in the Constitution. If you're questioning it, don't understand it, reach out to somebody, ask the questions, really get involved. Don't just circle dots on the ballot. And if you're on the fence, talk to people and get out there and get informed. Do your own research. You don't have to listen to Facebook and the news media because they are biased, and I really encourage people to do their own research. And what I have found over and over again is that people are going through the motions. They are not willing to do the work, and they're listening to the media, and the media is not fair. They're very biased, and they are definitely wanting to keep the establishment, the government, the swamp in place. Yeah.
And in case you guys were wondering where we stand, Trump 2020, baby.
Was there a doubt?
Cory Gardner 2020, baby. But thank you guys so much for joining us on this episode of Behind the Iron Curtain with Hall and Hunt. And we will see you guys on the flip side.
Thanks.
God bless.